I think I can publicly share. We are expanding our current Franklin and Drake boundaries.
It's hard to pinpoint what I love about Des Moines, and I couldn't do it until I listened and spoke with this next guest. The city of Des Moines seems to be working in all spaces, in all neighborhoods, but they're doing and putting their fingerprint on different things through this program called Invest DSM. So in today's video, we're going to have on Christopher Civitate, and he is going to explain to us where and what Invest DSM is doing, why it is important to Des Moines. My name is Darson Grantham. I'm a real estate agent and investor here in Des Moines, Iowa. I help people buy, sell, and invest. Depends on your situation. I love consulting and strategizing for the individual person to figure out what is best for them. If any of that interests you, please reach out. One thing that's really tough to pinpoint when you look at a city is, why is it doing well? Is the city putting money into it? Is it a nonprofit? Is some rich guy in the ivory tower? Is he, dumping money into the program? What exactly is going on, and what are they doing? And in this video, Invest DSM, Christopher really goes through that, and it's a fantastic listen. I'm going to re-listen to it, and I highly recommend anyone that is looking to buy, sell, or invest in Des Moines, listen to this program. Even if you're not going to use their grant money or their programs, listen to it. It gives you an idea what the vibe in Des Moines is feeling like. Christopher, I appreciate you jumping on here and giving us some background around the Invest DSM program. My initial reach out to you was, hey, I see these signs all over the neighborhoods that I am selling houses in. What do they consist of? What do they mean? What's the city doing with this program? So I'll start off just an intro. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started with Invest DSM.
Yeah, so Christopher Civitate, I have been working in neighborhood revitalization here in Des Moines for more than 14 years now, going on 15 years. And so I started out my career in the affordable housing nonprofit sector here in Greater Des Moines with Habitat for Humanity, doing neighborhood revitalization work, and started with Invest DSM in the fall of 2019. So we're a pretty young and new organization. We started in 2019. We were officially incorporated in July of 2019, so just prior to the pandemic. The city had a 30-year plus revitalization program that they'd been running, and city staff at the time felt like they weren't getting the results that they wanted to, and so they had a firm come in from outside called CCB, and what they did, the city did, and then that firm did, is they really looked at the neighborhood revitalization program the city of Des Moines had. They looked at all of the nonprofits that were doing work in Des Moines and tried to figure out what was going on with our neighborhoods and why the city wasn't seeing the results they thought they should. After 30 plus years of doing their program, they thought that they should be further down the road than they were, and really just needed to do a reality check: what was right, what was wrong, and where did things need to change in order to really improve our neighborhoods. The city had taken decades to invest in downtown with a lot of successes, a lot of great wins, and some big turnarounds, and hadn't spent enough of their time focusing on neighborhoods. That's kind of what it boils down to. Part of it is that there were these amazing plans put together for neighborhoods by city staff. And I think they had all of the correct data in them. They had a lot of what they needed to turn around the neighborhoods. But what they didn't have is the buy-in from the city financially to help actually incentivize that neighborhood revitalization work. So these amazing plans were always put together over the 30-year period of time, handed over to neighborhoods, and the neighborhood associations were expected to take those plans and make them work. But without funding, it just was not possible. So it really didn't see the kind of work happening in neighborhoods that the city was wanting. And the firm said that you have to take money and put it behind your programs to make neighborhood revitalization work. And so what the city did was came up with a commitment, and they then partnered with the county. So Invest DSM was started by the city and the county, and the 1-cent sales tax increase was instrumental in making Invest DSM work. So we didn't take funds away from other people, other nonprofits, other organizations. What happened was there were new funds coming in through that 1-cent sales tax increase that created Invest DSM in 2019. So that passed in the spring of 2019, actually went into effect August of 2019. Invest DSM was created there shortly after. So I was one of the first employees in November of 2019 to really start creating programs. At that time, there were no programs at all. And so we said, where do we start first? And what we said was we started with building community.
It's not a city, you're not city staff.
We are an independent nonprofit. So Amber Lynch, who's the executive director, was a city planner for 10 years here in Des Moines, and she started as the executive director. And so I'm the neighborhood development manager.
Okay, and funding comes from the city, county, anything else?
At the moment, it's the city and the county. We have had a couple special grants that have popped in. So we did a lighting project in Dogtown that was sponsored through Wells Fargo. So we've done a couple other small things. We do have some other funders starting to come to the table. Really, we wanted to prove our program before going after private funding. And we're kind of at that phase where we've proved that it works. And I think one of the biggest things is when the firm came to Des Moines, CZB, when they came here, they said that Des Moines' issue was more than a $900 or $900 million issue. And so when we look at what is needed to revitalize our neighborhoods, it was more than $900 million. And so we had to start somewhere, which brought us to the fact that we're only working in these small 4 geographic areas.
So 900 million, is that a lot or not a lot?
I mean, it's more than our budget is on a yearly basis here in Des Moines. So
yeah, I was assuming that, but for perspective, I was like, I think that's a big number. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and that was prior to the pandemic. So if you add 20-30% to that number, we're over $1 billion needed in investment in our neighborhoods in order to really see them truly healthy, thriving, and vibrant, which is what we're aiming for.
Is that report public?
Yeah, yes. But when you look at our website and you go to where we work on our website, we have 4 neighborhoods that we work in. So it's Columbus Park, Highland Park, Oak Park, Franklin neighborhood, and the Drake neighborhood. So those are our 4 areas that we work in. And on each of those pages, when you look at those, is the full report on the neighborhood revitalization plan for each area. Okay. So when we talk about our goals and what we're looking to do, Drake specifically has a goal to take some of what were built as single family and have become multifamily and convert them back to single family, while increasing the amount of apartment units on the major corridors in the neighborhood, and then protecting affordability in those new units that are built as apartments. So like those goals are all lined out in there. So we regularly check in on those goals with our steering committees in each area. So we have steering committees in each of our areas, and then check back in with city staff and all of the city departments. We're regularly working directly hand in hand with them.
You mentioned the 4 neighborhoods. Let's get into the different programs you have. And I do a lot of investing, helping investors buy in Des Moines. And one thing that I want to get out of this for them is, what are these programs? What are the stipulations? What are the rules? How can are any of the programs a right fit for them, or how are they a right fit? And then also the homeowners that are buying in those neighborhoods, what is to come of the neighborhoods? I mean, if a city is putting good work into neighborhoods, there is good things to come in most cases. And I want to highlight that with anyone that's moving to Des Moines, that's trying to find their next neighborhood that they don't feel the current neighborhood fits their style. Where else can they go, or what else is happening? So let's dig into I call it the non-owner occupied programs, investor programs, developer programs. There's 3 that I wrote down: the single family home developer, the commercial business program, and then the rental rehab programs. Let's do a quick one. Let's start out with a single family home developer.
A single family developer was created at the same time our homeowner renovation program was created. And then from there, we created the commercial program that you're talking about for businesses and for property owners of commercial properties. And then the rental rehab was the last one to come. So our single family developer program is meant for anyone who's coming in, not really looking, I get away from the word flip, anyone who's really looking to come into our neighborhoods and do a renovation project. And so it is those investors coming in, wanting to do a large capital project in the neighborhood. They're harder to tackle. They also have gaps. You can look at a property and say that the acquisition cost is $100,000. And so we're going to make all of these numbers as round as possible just to keep them clear. So let's say that it's $100,000. And really, in order to get the project done to our standards and to what we want in our neighborhoods, you have to invest $200,000 into it. But let's say at the end of the day, after you put in your profit margin, we are going to have to sell that home at $250,000. So you would take a $50,000 loss on the project. Our funding is meant to keep the quality of the project high and make sure that you don't lose that money there. So we only take care of a gap on the project, and we have a sources and use form on our website. So when you go to programs, so go to investdsm.org, go to programs, and then you go down to the single family developer program, there's a sources and uses form, and there you put in all of the property information. What we're looking at is your acquisition cost, how long you'll hold it over the time frame, the taxes, every cost you'll incur. We require a developer to have at least 20% of their own funds into a project. So we look at what we think the home will sell for afterwards. So it's after repair value, what you're going to put into it, what your acquisition costs were. And when you run those numbers and you meet our quality standards, you lose $20,000. We are meant to help a developer make a minimal return. So we have no more than a 20% return on your ROI on those projects, but we can take care of that gap. So we can take care of the $50,000 gap on that project to make sure a high quality project is coming to our neighborhoods, to make sure that each time a home is turning over, it is marketable to people who are looking for projects. We found that homeowners are wanting a high quality renovation project done. They're wanting to purchase it and they're not wanting to have to do any of the work on their own. And so they'll choose Des Moines over a suburb when they can find the right house in our market. And so that really is what Invest DSM is about, is making sure that our homes are marketable on a metro-wide scale. People that are choosing West Des Moines over Des Moines, no good reason in my mind. But I mean, our housing stock sometimes has something to be desired. And so between our single family developer projects and the ones that Invest DSM does, really we're looking at a high quality renovation project. We're looking at how do you tackle adding on that addition in a project where it would never make sense for cash flow for an investor, and getting a minimal return back to them, but something that's still healthy enough for them to want to do and want to spend time in our neighborhoods.
Did I hear you say a minimum of 20% ROI is
what
what
max of 20% ROI. So we do have a cap at the moment. It's one of the first programs like this in neighborhood development work. We didn't find too many models like this nationwide. And so it's really, that's kind of our max cap at the moment, is a 20% ROI on that project. We
ROI, sorry, I'm a nerd on that. ROI of what the investor puts into the program, into the property of their own money, or
total project ROI.
So difference between sale price.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So the sources and uses form is the easy spot to like plug that in. It's like,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, so when you plug in all of your numbers without our funds, at the bottom of our sources and uses, it says, hey, you would get a negative 9.1% ROI if you didn't have our funds. Yep. With our funds, you get this ROI. And so it like helps you figure out what type of money you can get from Invest DSM on that in order to get the ROI you're looking for. So it does like project without us, project with us. So when someone runs the funds, runs the equation out, and it's like, you're already getting a 33% ROI. That's not where that's not where our funds, that's not where the public money is intended to be. It is intended to help encourage developers. And at the moment, we have like 10 to 12 of those projects a year that developers do with us in our neighborhoods. Some of it is a lack of them, I think, knowing it's available in the neighborhoods. I think the other part is we're still testing out if the max 20% ROI is effective or not. A couple of investors have said that that's not enough for them to decide to do a project.
Is it a, I don't want to say guarantee, but if there is an issue in the middle of the project that changes that ROI to a negative, does that change the project at all? Or like,
so we went back on 2 different projects at this point and granted more funds as a major issue has come up.
Okay.
We do have a max based on what we think and what the developer thinks the home can sell for afterwards. So we do have a max of how much we can put into the project. So there was a third case where the developer had all the funds available already at the start of the project. And we had brought up a couple different things at the house that we thought could be an issue. And they did become an issue and we couldn't contribute more. So their ROI just diminished in that case. But in the other 2 cases, when big things came up, there was more funds that could be accessed. We granted further funds to make the project work.
It's a process. Y'all are working together a lot throughout.
Yeah.
Yes. Like it's not just front end, back end, check, done. It's
there's milestones through the middle of it as well. And then we have 3 or 4 developers who have started to use us more regularly, and they're looking for homes in our areas because we do work through the process and we work through changes and we work through. But they're also being able to present really high quality projects that they weren't able to do. And so they may be looking at a little bit smaller return, but they've done it multiple times now. Yep. And they've figured it out quicker and better. And they have clients who are waiting to purchase homes in our neighborhoods as well. And so they have this like super direct path, and they're selling them a lot of times before they hit the market to someone that's already waiting. And so they've taken some of the guesswork out of it as well.
Yep. And it doesn't sound like anyone can be a developer in this program. There must be a qualification. How's that work?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all of them memorized off the top of my head, but in basic terms, we have to at least see 2 projects that you've done successfully in the past. And then we start out by walking this project, the new project, with you. So you have to be in good standing. There are some insurance requirements, and those are, when you look under that program tab, they are there in our program guidelines. But at least 2 projects we have to have seen demonstrated work. So
within your neighborhoods or anywhere?
Anywhere. Yeah, we don't have a specific place, but just anywhere. We've had a small developer come in who had done some large kitchen renovations, who had done this like addition, and we did like a conditional grant with them as we worked through the process. And we held just back more funds till the end of the project, and that could work for them till we got to the spot where we were at a yes, which is what we try to work for. So we don't just work with someone off the street, but we do need to figure out how they qualify, how they work. And then we do check in. So we do 5 milestone walks regularly on our development projects as we do payouts. And so we go through after demolition is complete, and then we pay out funds. We go through after HVAC work is complete, and then pay out funds, or plumbing, rough-ins, all of that stuff is done. After cabinets are set, countertops are set. And then we hold 20% back till the end of the project when final COs are all issued and things like that.
Cool. I love it. That's awesome. I just can't reiterate, if there were nicer turnkey properties in the urban Des Moines areas, I mean, there's people that want to buy them. Because you can't build them, you can't find them. So
we
sucker for that.
Invest DSM just brought 2 properties to market in the Columbus Park neighborhood, on East Jackson and East Columbus Avenue, right off the downtown area. And we had either multiple offers or were under contract within 48 hours, and that was because it was a weekend and I replied slowly. But no, high quality renovation work coming to our neighborhoods is wanted and needed. And so we have not had a problem selling any of the properties that we have done ourselves or that any of the single family developers have done with us. They
Cool.
list and they go quickly.
Yep. Awesome. Cool. We'll move on to, and I appreciate all your time. We're bumping up onto an hour here pretty soon, but commercial business program.
Yes.
I did not dig deep into this research, but what's this, Scott? What's this?
Yeah, I mean, I will try to give it to you as quickly as possible. Our commercial grant program is really dedicated towards 2 different people in that program. One could be the property owner, or one could be the business owner. And so it could be both. But we cover up to 25% of the cost of the project. Sorry, wrong program. We cover up to half the cost of the project, up to $50,000. So if the business owner or the building owner is looking to do a $100,000 renovation, Invest DSM can cover half of that.
Cool.
And so we are really looking to help with major electrical upgrades, ADA compliance for bathrooms. We're really looking at some of the major things that in our commercial corridors have held buildings back for years. And so a large building with multiple bays does have available more funding, but covering up to half the cost of the project, up to that $50,000 mark. So we're really looking at
the real estate owner, so the business owner, not someone that's leasing the property.
It could be the person leasing the property if the building owner is not the one doing the TI work, the tenant improvement work. It could be the business owner. So we work with both building and business owners. So it really depends on what is happening at that property. Really, we're trying to figure out how to get it back to market, get it usable, and get a good quality business into it again. And so it could be making it a white box property ready to be rented that's not been used or underutilized for years, or it could be actually working directly with a business owner to do large capital improvements. So like Chuck's Restaurant is one of the places that we did a large renovation project at. We also did work at the Highland Park Bakery, at the Slowdown up in Highland Park. We've done a small grant over at the barbershop at Waveland. We are working on other grants up in the Uptown Business Shopping District as well. Drake neighborhood, we've done stuff on the side of the street where Dilco and Mars and Groovy Goods, all of that is at. Lucky Horse, we are working there, Lefties. We are currently working, if you go through the Drake neighborhood, on some mural work. So you'll have seen that a lot of murals have popped up recently. That's a funding partnership between Invest DSM, Wells Fargo, and Drake University, depending on which one it is. There's one going up this week at XBK Live, and that's just us there funding.
Is there one source where it shows all the murals of Des Moines?
The Greater Des Moines Art Foundation has a map, but that's only ones they have helped fund.
I'm doing a YouTube video on that because there's driving around and I'm like, I didn't know that was there. That's so cool. And then I see another one and I'm like, there needs to be something highlighting all of these.
You need to put out whatever push notification you send, because the one at XVK that's going up right now, though it's being worked on this week. It's been being worked on the last couple of weeks. It's really cool. But there's a new one at Lefty's live music event space there. There's the ones on several Drake buildings there. We've done several in the last couple of weeks. So there's a huge change every day there.
Yeah, that's way fun.
Okay. But we work directly with either the business owner or the building owner. There's up to $50,000 available to help with projects. It's really to get the building back up to a code compliant state, help with grease traps, help with electrical, help with those major things. So we just want to have healthy commercial corridors, and how do we expand off of them in our neighborhoods? The East Village is great, downtown is great, but having a walkable ice cream shop up in Highland Park is even greater. Being able to leave your house and walk to an ice cream shop and then go to the park that's just down the street 5 minutes away. Those are all great things. And how do we make sure that there's a Snookies in every neighborhood?
That's tagline.
I think that's a Reagan shirt. Maybe.
Is it really?
No, I probably not, but it maybe should be.
Right. Cool. Okay, cool. So that was the business, commercial business program. What about the rental rehab, the newest program, it sounds like?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, it's the newest and the rockiest to go through. We're really trying to figure out how to make that program work. There are none like it that I know of, that we know of nationwide. There weren't any models that we could go off of. And so at the moment, what it is a 25% cost share on major investment into the property, whether it's exterior or interior. On our program sheet, again, it kind of gives you like a list of all of the things that are approved. There are a couple things that are not approved for our funds, but we're really looking at how do we make sure that all of our housing stock, even our rental stock in our neighborhoods, is healthy. So there were no programs working with rental really. And so sometimes we are working with a ma and a pa who have owned a home in one of our neighborhoods for decades, and they've kept their rental rates really low. But what that has meant is that they've traded off for some of the investment in the property. And so occasionally we're working with one of them, and how do we help them invest back into the property? We have a mechanism in place that does have a rent control. So we can't just allow the investor to access our funds and then skyrocket rents. Right. So we do have some max caps on rental rates, and they're based on LIHTC numbers. And so we're working with how do we help upgrade the housing stock, the quality, and still also protect the affordability in our neighborhoods as well at the same time. But we're trying to figure out how do we also continue to have a relationship with the landlord. And so no matter what you access in that program, there's either a 5, 7, or 10-year forgiveness period on the funds. And so we have that constant communication and contact. So we do have a lot of investors who take their money and spend it in Des Moines, but aren't anywhere near Des Moines. And so if they're going to access our funds, how do we continue to have a healthy relationship with them so that we get them to invest more of their time and energy into Des Moines neighborhoods also, so that they're a good neighbor in the whole entire equation. So 25% of the cost of the project is what we can help with. We do an inspection on the front end. If there's any code violations from a rental certificate standpoint, those have to be addressed at minimum. And then we have our quality standards that we're going for as well in that program. So really trying to figure out how to upgrade our rental stock while still maintaining the affordability in our neighborhoods as well.
And that doesn't sound like that is you have to prove it with two different rentals already. You could be your only rental that you own.
Correct. Yep.
Awesome.
So, yeah, no minimum, not like the single family developer where you have to prove that you can do the work, complete the projects. So
is there anything else that we haven't talked about? Any programs I missed? Anything on the horizon that you want to share?
No, I mean, I think the big thing that you touched on accidentally is the fact that we actually are doing some of our own renovation work. So we have general contractors who are doing work for us in the market also. When you look at the corner of Cottage Grove and 31st, there's 4 homes there. One's a new construction house. One was moved onto a new foundation off of Brattle World Drive. And then the other 2 are just complete renovations. Invest DSM is doing rehab work as well. And what we're taking on is what usually the market will not touch. We can never get a single family. If I could get a single family developer to go in and touch these projects by themselves, I would have done that instead. What we're usually taking on are projects that no one would touch. Sometimes we are taking on a smaller project where we're doing a larger addition on it. So we have a couple in Highland Park that are smaller ranches where we're putting on a 3rd bedroom and main bathroom. So we are doing some of those smaller projects as well, but we have a ton of properties where we are just bringing them to market or just starting renovation projects. Those come to us in multiple ways. Sometimes a realtor brings them to us. Sometimes a host seller brings them to us. Sometimes a person that owns a property says, hey, I walked another property that you guys completed, and I've always wanted that for my home in the neighborhood. I'm ready to retire. I'm moving to an assisted living place. I'm dot, dot, dot. I want you guys to do that to my house. So some of those properties have gotten to us just by people coming to us that own the property. What we're doing is a holistic approach to revitalizing neighborhoods. And that means working with all of the city entities, trying to work with other nonprofits, working directly with the neighborhood, regularly checking in with them, making sure that what we're doing is what they intended and what is healthiest for them and the rest of the neighborhood. So we're kind of all over the place when it comes to what it looks like to revitalize a neighborhood, which is one of the things we were missing for a long time.
Yeah. No, I love it. Cool. We'll wrap this up. I appreciate it. I do want to say I'm probably going to invite you to be kind of a guest special speaker at our monthly second Tuesday of every month. We do an event for investors around Des Moines, and I have a lot of people to ask about Invest DSM. And so if you want that platform, and you don't have to do it, but I think it'd be really good to just educate and share, and we'll get that lined up. Christopher, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
If anyone wants to get a hold of you or the program, website the best place, or is there any, you guys do Instagram or anything fancy like that?
We're on Facebook and we are on Instagram, and I respond to all of the messages in both places. Info@investdsm.org. So info@investdsm.org is probably the best starting point. My last name's too hard to spell. So I will just let you get people to that link. But if you email that, it gets to one of our staff members, and then it gets to the correct place from there.
Okay. Thanks everybody for listening. We really appreciate Christopher coming on and sharing his knowledge and expertise in this community development program. It'd be planning, city zoning. We really love that. I love it. In my core, I love the inner city of Des Moines, the history, the nostalgia, the walkability. It's, if I didn't live on an acreage in the country, as strange as it sounds, I would live in the core city part of Des Moines. It's just what feels really good to me. Now I'd have to find a bigger lot that would allow chickens and all that good stuff, but it's close to my heart. We'll just put it that way. So if you are someone that wants to find those properties, please reach out to me. Whether you're selling a property in those areas and you want to know how do we best advertise this to make sure it sells to someone that is going to do these programs and going to make this home an even better place. Or if you're looking to buy and you want to know, hey, I'm going to renovate, how do I make sure I take advantage of the programs in order to renovate to the standard that I want? So what does that look like? If any of that interests you, please reach out below, my email, my phone number. I want to help you navigate this, figure that out, connect you with the right people. That's what I do. I enjoy it. Again, until next time, see ya.